My name is Shari Braun, and I'm a second-year university student taking math and biology right now. I'm planning to go into education.
And you're a new mother?
I am, yes. I have a daughter who is almost 2 years old. I wanted a career that would give me a lot of time with my daughter. And high school teaching seemed to kind of give me that option. I'll have the summers off, so I'll be able to spend time with her when she's not in school. So that's why I've chosen that path.
Do you think you're being a single mom informs your political outlook at all?
Oh, absolutely. I'm considering things that I would have never considered before I became a parent.
Like?
Daycare has become high on my list of concerns.
So, what would you like to see them address?
Well, as I mentioned, daycare. I know that they did allocate funding at the university for 110 spots, but I'm concerned about where that funding is going to go specifically. I'd like to see it go into the places that they need. For example, a lot of the daycares only allow children in who are 18 months or older. But as a single parent, quite often you have to go to work when your child is 1 year old or even sooner. Well, most parents do, whether or not they're single. So I'm not sure if the funding is going to be going to there, and I'd like to see them address that issue a little bit more.
For the younger.
Yeah, absolutely. For 6 months and up, it's very difficult for a child to get into a daycare. Quite often there's long waiting lists. My daughter was on a waiting list for almost a year.
But you have a spot now?
I do, yes, and in a licensed facility. And I guess that's the key is we need licensed facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have some reassurance that at least feel like your child's in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely, and the cost is substantially different. At a licensed facility, you can receive subsidy up to half that cost, whereas at an unlicensed facility, I've heard of people paying for very small children upwards of $800, $900 a month for childcare, and that's not acceptable. Something there needs to change.
So, if you were writing a policy, what would it look like?
I would make sure that there was funding allocated for infant spots, and I guess establish funding to set up licensed facilities and get workers in that would be able to look after infants.
Are there any other issues that you think should be on there?
I'm a little concerned about the HST. I know that our provincial government has kind of pushed that aside for now and thwarted the federal government's attempts to get that enforced here, but I'm concerned about it because I spend a lot of money on children's clothing, and right now, of course, with it being PST and GST, I'm not paying PST on children's clothing. But if it was harmonized, my fear is that now all of a sudden I'd be paying, what is the GST now, 5%? Be paying 5% more on my daughter's clothing, which she outgrows quickly or rips while she's playing.
So it'd be 10% instead of 5%.
Yeah, and even though that seems like a small amount, every little bit adds up. Yeah. Especially when you spend as much as I do on clothing. So
you'd like to make sure that the HST doesn't come to Saskatchewan? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, the federal government seems to be really interested in pushing that into all of the provinces with the incentives that they're providing. So I'd like some reassurance from the parties that we're not going to see HST anytime soon.